Fallout 4, explained by an idiot. So the game starts as all great things do, in the bathroom. I hear a knock on the door, open it, and a man cosplaying Castiel tells me that I've been selected to enter Vault 111. I'm like, aight, cool, and close the door. My deathbot tells me his idling jet engine and murder saw can't soothe my crying infant. I go and calm down the crying freak, have some small talk with the wife. Codsworth the killbot shouts for me to watch TV with them. Turns out America and West Taiwan are nuking each other. Everyone runs to the vault just as Boston gets glassed in the background. Once inside, I'm given new clothes and put in a fridge to take a nap. I got briefly awoken from my slumber to watch a man named Kellogg murder my wife and steal my son. After waking the second time, I find that I'm the only one left alive, so I do the only rational thing, loot my wife's corpse, kill a bunch of giant roaches, loot another corpse, and escape the vault. Heading back to my house, I find that everything's in ruin, as expected after a nuclear blast. But my robot survived. On the way to a nearby town, I run into a dog and adopt him. I enter the town of Concord and immediately get shot at by Mad Max cosplayers. I quickly dispatch the cosplayers, and a dude dressed as George Washington shouts at me that there are more inside and I should rob a corpse for a laser musket. That's right, it's a musket, but it shoots lasers. I run in and use the laser musket to quite literally turn the raiders to ash. The dude's name is Preston. He asks for help taking out the rest of the raiders. I go to the roof, put on some power armor, steal a minigun, jump off the roof, and shred the rest of the raiders. A giant demon lizard jumps out of the ground, but after shooting 500 rounds at it and blowing up 2 cars, it finally died. I re-enter the museum and get paid by Preston. An old druggy lady that can see the future tells me to go to Diamond City. Outside the city, I assist some guards in fighting Shrek monsters and help a journalist lady break in. A detective's assistant asked me to find Detective Valentine. He was kidnapped by zombie mafia men. I killed them all. Turns out that Detective Valentine is a synth detective, or a robo-cop. Me and RoboCop kill some more mafia men, and the mob boss is RoboCop's old friend. He tried to talk him down, but I killed him first. We run back to Diamond City. I describe the kidnappers to RoboCop. He knows who it is. We rob Kellogg's house and use my dog to track him. Me, RoboCop, and the dog run into a bear monster on the way to Kellogg's fort. RoboCop tells my dog to leave once we get there. Once we get to Kellogg, he tells me that the Institute has my son. We kill him and his bodyguards, rob his corpse, and rip out part of his brains. Once outside, we see a Led Zeppelin saying that they are the Brotherhood of Steel. We go to a town called Good Neighbor, give a doctor lady Kellogg's brain. She hooks it into RoboCop's brain, and I go into a VR simulation of Kellogg's memories. Turns out my son's 10, and the Institute uses teleportation to get around. Me and RoboCop go to a place called the Glowing Sea to find a doctor. We find the doctor in a cave. He turned himself into a Shrek monster. He tells us to kill a courser. They're supposed to be really hard to kill, so we pick up a nuke gun and 2 mini nukes. We follow a signal to the courser, kill a bunch of mercenaries, launch a nuke into the courser's room, steal his clothes and a chip from him. We then follow a red line to a sneaky group called the Railroad. They love the synths and analyze the chip for us. We return to the Shrek doctor. He gives us schematics on how to build a teleporter. I tell RoboCop to leave. I go back to Preston and he helps me build the teleporter, and I get beamed into the Institute. Find my son. Turns out I was tricked and my son is really an old man. He's in charge of the Institute. He goes by father. I murder him and run for the door. Once back at Sanctuary, I tell Preston what happened. He sends me to kill some raiders. After I get back, he promotes me to general. Me and him travel around the Commonwealth, increasing the influence of the Minutemen. Preston tells me it's time to take back the castle, so me, him, 5 dudes, and a dog start killing a bunch of crabs. Once all the crabs are dead, we start crushing their eggs. A crab the size of a 2-story building jumps out of the water nearby and starts wrecking my fellow Minutemen. I launch a mini nuke at the creature and it just took it like it was nothing, so I wound up using every last bit of ammo I had to kill this beast. After the battle, I restore power to the castle's radio tower. Me and Preston went back to building up the Minutemen regime, arming settlers and doing good deeds and that kind of stuff. Preston tells me we need to go back to the castle. Once there, an old lady starts yelling at me. We dig a tunnel, fight some turrets, nuke a sentry bot, loot the corpse of a previous general, and obtain schematics for mortar cannons. Stag has me put a few of these around the castle and tells me to throw some smoke bombs on a nearby building. After a moment, the building gets bombarded with artillery. I thought this was pretty cool, so I proceed to install cannons at every Minutemen-controlled settlement. Whilst doing this, I am told the Institute has decided to attack the castle. I head back, and wouldn't you know it, the synths are teleporting inside, they're teleporting outside, they're teleporting all over them. I'm running around shooting flares to call in more Minutemen, killing synths, repairing turrets, and throwing artillery to them. After an absurd amount of ammo was spent, we finally ended the siege. Now it's time to take the fight to the Institute. So me and Dogmeat swim through some tunnels, kill some synths, and make it back to the Institute's teleport room. I pop in a holotape that lets Preston and the other Minutemen beam down into the Institute. The building's on lockdown, so the soldiers and I have to move through an old bunker attached to the Institute, killing synths the whole way. We exit the bunker to get shot at by synths and scientists. For some reason, they had 2 pet gorillas. We break into the main floor and massacre a lot of synths and coursers. I have to go into my dead old man son's room to stop the lockdown. We run to the reactor, put a bomb on it, and get teleported to safety. On top of a distant building, I push a button and release nuclear Armageddon on the Institute. Apparently, I was supposed to evacuate the place beforehand. Preston gets mad that I didn't, and we head back to the castle. Once back at the castle, we turn the Brotherhood's Led Zeppelin into the Hindenburg. The Brotherhood didn't like that, and essentially the same battle that we had with the Institute happens, minus the teleporting. Now, at this point, there's only one major faction left that could potentially challenge my regime, and that is the Railroad. So me and Preston head to their base and massacre them. It was super easy. Turns out they're less of a legit faction and more like 10 barely armed dudes in a basement. Like, subscribe, and comment if you want more idiot content.